This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and, all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode.
Welcome to the show, JR. Appreciate you taking time to sit down with me.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm grateful to be here, buddy. I'm sorry it took so long to get on here.
Hey, that's how it always is. I mean, you're an author too, right? I mean, you're always out there promoting your book, and then you got your own page, Recovery Revolution. And what's your book?
The Addiction Manifesto. I've been blessed. I mean, it's won a few awards. It's about my journey to recovery. I kind of wrote it mostly during my first year of sobriety, which I actually just hit 4 years in November 10th. So Congrats. I mean, it's been a blessing, dude.
Yeah. So you spent that first year, you were writing about your journey then.
Yeah. A lot of us go into recovery thinking that, we just got to stop using, but then there's everything else that hits you, like, the emotional, the spiritual, physical side of it. I mean, you're dealing with life without
without the solution, without our previous solution, now it's like, all right, now let's find new solutions.
Right.
So
you have to retrain your brain. I mean, I went through a lot my first year. I mean, I had just pleaded into Charleston County adult drug court, and I was, having to deal with that, meeting their requirements, and then working at the VA in a work therapy program too. So, I was busy, which was good. You had to
Yeah, it's definitely good. Being busy in your first year is important because it keeps your mind off of the mental aspect of that obsession that we have.
Right.
Because the further we get away from that mental obsession, then, to find newer things to obsess about. Because, we're always going to be addicts. We're always going to have things to obsess about, even if it's something as small as watching the same show over and over again. Yep. We're always going to have little obsessions and not even realize it. So it's just about making sure the obsessions are not harmful to us and not making our life unmanageable. And
correct. I mean, our addiction puts everything, in the forefront. It's like, I don't want to go to work today, but we got to do it. I mean, that's what I tell people: show up, do what you got to do the next right thing, and you'll get through it. I mean, that first year is the toughest, in my opinion.
Yeah, it can be, especially, it depends on where you're at too, because sometimes the first year is the easiest because maybe you're under lock and key a lot, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's a real world for number two, because now you're out of like a sober living and you're not being piss tested all the time. And I think people can, they use that. It's a good way to get through the first year because they have some help. Because sometimes if you're in that long of a program, it's because you failed at the smaller programs. I mean, I was only at one program so far, knock on wood. But I've only been to one treatment center. Have you been to a bunch?
No. When I first tried to get sober, I tried to do it on my own, and you know how that works out. You might get a month, 2 months, 3 months in.
I got a few weeks, tops, maybe a couple weeks. I wasn't never getting anything more than a couple weeks.
Hit a couple meetings, say, I'm doing good, but in the back of your mind, your addiction just sitting there, just waiting for you like that. Okay, you keep doing what you're doing, buddy. We'll welcome you back with open arms.
Yeah, did you ever hear that expression that I'm not sure if you're a meeting kind of guy, but I always hear the expression while we're in this meeting, our addiction's in the parking lot doing push-ups, waiting for us.
Yeah. That's one of the things I quote in my book, actually. I mean, we get so complacent in our recovery routines that, I mean, your addiction, it's out there. You know, it's doing the push-ups, it's watching the game tapes. You know, it
Yeah,
just
and
takes that one sliver of opportunity to get back in your life. I mean, first hardship you hit. I mean, what do? We run right back to the drugs and alcohol, and then it just steamrolls. I mean, my last relapse, I was in a homeless program going through treatment at the VA. And what had happened was I was doing the work therapy at the VA, and then I was thinking, oh yeah, I was trying to do, I did like 77 meetings in 90 days. And, and then someone offered me a part-time job on top of my other, work therapy job. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I just burned myself out in like 2 months, man. I was angry all the time, and, ended up catching 4 felony charges for it. Yeah, my last relapse was a doozy.
for what I mean, what was a big one for?
It was I had caught 3 second-degree burglaries and 1 third-degree burglary at a job, at the part-time job that I took. I was a working in a vending machine warehouse. I was loading up the orders for the next day, and we had Red Bull, just
Yeah.
cases of everything you name, Snickers, M&Ms, and I was loading them up in my truck after I finished work and trading them for drugs. So
What
yeah, I
was your
mean, it,
drug? What was your drug of choice that you would go back
it
to?
was first I started with alcohol. I abused alcohol, and then when my tolerance got so high when I got out of the army, that I switched to hard drugs, and I kind of went through the whole the whole spiel of trying each thing. And the one that got me was cocaine. I mean, it first off, it started out as a way that I could keep drinking. But then I was like, you know what? The drinking's not doing it. The cocaine's doing it. So I started doing the cocaine. I ended up shooting it, smoking it,
Yeah,
anything I
it
could do with it.
definitely goes with the alcohol. Like I
Yeah,
feel like they go hand in hand, like very
yeah,
well. There's sometimes people that are early into opiates are like, oh, I didn't really drink, but I think there's something to be said about the cocaine's like, oh no, I was a drinker.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very
You
rare.
find yourself in the bathroom doing lines off the back of the toilet. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, no, I've been there, buddy. It's all right. I've been there with pills though. It was the pills that I was doing that was and how the hole in the walls too. I can't even think to myself like what I used to do. Like, so you were in the army. How long were you in the army for?
I was 3 years active, 5 years in the reserves. I mean, I got out in my first time I got out was September of 1990, and I got out early to go to college, and I was going to a local college here, and that's when I started having issues, adapting back to society, because we aren't trained for it. I mean, not trained. That's probably not a good word, but we aren't ready for it. I mean, a lot of us come out of the military thinking, yeah, we're just gonna, take off the uniform and jump right back into where we were at. But we've changed. The military changes you. I
Yeah,
mean, you see
yeah.
some stuff.
You get trained for some things, but you don't get prepared for everything.
Right, right. They're doing a much better job today than they were, 30 years ago.
Yeah,
So
Good-
I really feel for those guys that went to like Vietnam. I mean, those guys had it rough. I couldn't imagine coming
and they
back to.
weren't getting much help when they got home either. I
Right,
mean, let's
right.
be real. I mean, it wasn't until in the last like 15 years really that vets were getting help when they got home.
Yeah.
Before that, it was like, no, we got you, and then like, we don't got
Yeah, we ain't got you. Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's hats off to those Vietnam vets that kept pushing the
Yeah.
agenda with the VA, and now,
Yeah, I always
I'm
think
blessed.
about and who was it? What was I just watching? That Born on Fourth of July
Oh, with
with
Tom Cruise,
Tom Cruise. Yeah, that dude that he plays in that movie, he had a lot to do with the VA, I think.
did he? I can't remember. I know
Yeah,
it's
he was like one of the first like advocates for like disability. Like that's like that guy. That movie is based on that real dude that wrote that book. Like Oliver Stone made that movie based on the book, on the true story of that guy advocating for like disability rights and all that kind of stuff from Vietnam vets. I'm just blanking on the guy's name.
Yeah, they really did do a good job of opening the door, because we've been at war for about 20 years now, and it's, I mean, you got so many vets coming out of service, and they just like me, they just don't fit right back into society. I
Yeah,
mean, so what do? We go right back to the alcohol, we go right to the hard drugs. I mean, we have
yeah,
to find a way to escape. And like me, I wasn't diagnosed with my see, I'm diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, depression, sleep apnea, tendonitis, but I was, running for like the first 20 years out of the military. I didn't know what was going on inside here. So,
yeah.
what did I do? Went to the booze and to the drugs.
Yeah, because I mean, what else would you know? Because you're, especially in the '90s, it was still like, hey, don't show your emotion. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You can't talk about that kind of thing right now. Like it was like groundbreaking when Tony Soprano went to a therapist. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a dominant male figure talking to a woman therapist, and that wasn't until like '99. But I
Yeah.
remember that being a big deal for I was 13, and that was a big deal to a lot of people at the time. That fact that, this powerful dude is being vulnerable
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's okay. But he's also killing people over here. But he's crying about his mommy issues in here. And I thought that was really cool because it showed people like my father and men that it's okay to do that, which then tells people like me like maybe it is okay to show emotion and to talk about these things.
Right, right.
So
I mean,
you know
I've guarded my emotions for so many years, and that's one of the hard. That was one of the hardest things in recovery, was allowing myself to be vulnerable, to allow people
yeah,
in, because I've shut people out for so long.
yeah, and it's not a matter of like what our parents did or didn't do, like what I mean. Like my dad and I, my we said Jerry, JR stands for Jerry, right?
Right.
J, yeah, J is for Jerry for me too. I'm the fourth in my family. So my dad is Jerry and my grand like goes by, we're all Gerald, but we all go by Jerry. So my dad and I are really close, but we weren't like I love you close
Yeah.
until
Me either.
his dad passed away. And it wasn't until like my pup passed away like 10 years ago did my dad and I really start regularly like saying I love you when we would like hang up. And it's still to this day, it's more like a sneaking it in, like I love you, like as we as we
Yeah.
hang up, But it still is because of how they were all brought up. And I think my dad realized it when his dad passed. Like, oh, I didn't say that enough, or I didn't hear that enough. I wish I would have heard that more. So all we can do is just try to change it for the next generation
Right.
because
You're
what's
exactly
happened
right.
happened.
I mean, my family was just like yours. I mean, we weren't close. I mean, we were borderline dysfunctional, and it wasn't until the last few years that we started saying "I love you." And my fiance, her and her family, they are so loving. I'm like, when around them, I'm like, I'm feeling a little awkward, but I'm slowly melting that, or pushing down that wall that I built up, to where
Yeah.
I could say I love you back.
Did
I
you
mean,
have bouts of sobriety throughout the 90s and the 2000s?
no, I was straight drinking. I mean, when I first got out, this is interesting. I had a buddy that was getting out of the Navy around the same time, and me and him he would come over my house, and we would just sit there and drink. He'd bring a case, I'd go get a case, and we would finish those two cases of beer. And we did that for first couple months. And this is the time that I'm trying to go to college. I'm trying to adapt back in, but I'm like, you know, I started drinking before classes, after classes, and it's like, it got to the point to where I remember doing this public speaking class, and I remember going out to my car before the class started and pounding like six beers. I mean, public speaking's been one of my biggest fears, and which is weird, because in early recovery, I was asked to speak at Vet Talk,
Yeah.
and then I was asked to speak at the South Carolina Annual Drug Conference. And you're talking about being in front of 100 judges, solicitors, drug court personnel.
Yeah.
I mean,
It,
but I'm like, I could either, run from the fear or I could stand up and face it. And, I think I did a pretty bang up job for
I
someone
think
that
it's
has
yeah.
a fear of public speaking.
I think the public speaking part is easier the more confidence you have in the subject matter, right? Like
Right.
if you had a fear of public speaking growing up and you had to do reports in front of your class on some shit you just learned, you're going to
Yeah.
have a lot more fears and nerves because you're really going to be unsure if this is even correct what I'm about to read. But if you're
Right.
public
Right.
speaking like at a meeting and you're just telling your story, you can kind of
Yeah.
like
You're the
breathe.
expert.
Yeah, you got to just remember that. Like breathe. That's what I remind myself is this is about me.
This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode.
No one can tell me I'm wrong. And
Yeah.
all I got to
Right.
do is just be honest and just talk. And I
Yeah.
kind of just remind myself of that and it just like breathe through it. It'll be okay. Because, it can get nerve-wracking, but it does get easier and it's really relieving too. Like the first time you do it, it's really therapeutic.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, it's been great. My recovery's been amazing, man.
Has
I
it
mean,
always been down in Charleston?
it has. But my
It,
addiction took me everywhere. Though. I was living in New York, Connecticut. Connecticut's actually where the hardcore drugs kicked in.
okay. Yeah, because
Mm.
I was all over my addiction too. My addiction brought me, I was, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, it ended in California, Pennsylvania, but it ended in California. So I was, south, all over the East Coast though.
Yeah, I
And
remember driving back and forth between Connecticut and Charleston for the holidays, and I would stop in every state and just, as addicts, you could find, where the drugs are at. So I
yeah,
remember stopping in Baltimore, North Carolina, just picking up drugs in every state.
North Carolina, you were probably, if you were, what was it, like Durham, Raleigh, Durham?
No, it was it's Lumberton actually. It's a small place that I think Michael Jordan's family was from there. I think that's the
Oh, okay.
thing.
So yeah, it was really random then on the way.
Yeah, it was just a matter
Yeah.
of stopping for some gas and seeing a guy say, "Hey, we're gonna get
Yeah.
some," and following him, not knowing anyone, like, but that's addiction.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. Now but you've been in Charleston for your sobriety though, for your recovery, for
Right.
all your recovery. Okay. Um have you this is off topic, but have you met Bill Murray yet?
No, 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 no. I've heard. Chevy Chase. Is it Chevy Chase or Bill Murray?
Bill Murray has the baseball team in the River Dogs or
Oh,
whatever.
River Dogs. Okay.
That's his baseball team that he owns. And he lives around there and he just like shows up all over the place around Charleston.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So actually, who did I have on the show besides you? I think it was somebody
Josh.
that is in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few people, and then Jeff's been on here too.
Yeah.
Because Jeff's got a
Jeff
show.
Vickers, yeah. That's
Yeah.
my dog right there.
Actually, when did you start Recovery Revolution? So your Facebook page, that's a huge following now. When did you start that?
I started it about a year into my sobriety as a way to give something back with a social platform through social media. And I remember me and my fiance, we were sitting down and I was trying all different types of pages, I was like, no, it's got to be a public page. I don't want to do the private thing. I mean, because I believe in recovering out loud. So it was just me and her starting it off, and we invited all our Facebook friends, and then slowly it just started taking off. I mean, we would search it was almost like a part-time job running it in the beginning to
Yeah.
grow it. But over time, I would see people posting some amazing stuff, and I would invite them to be an admin on the page. And I've been blessed to have some amazing admins. I mean, I don't know, Chrissy?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I saw her. I was reading her post. I recruited her. I mean,
Yeah,
Heather,
that's right. Yeah,
Chrissy,
because she was
Christine.
talking about. I remember talking to Chrissy during Recovery Month
Yeah,
about
when we
doing
did
some.
the recovery challenge.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Because my recovery, I did 30 episodes in 30 days.
Right, right. I
That was my
remember that.
recovery. Yeah, so we couldn't even figure out a date then because I was busy and you were busy then too. But now we're doing it for this at least. Now, but you have a show on there as well where you talk to other addicts?
We do. We actually just opened up our own podcast. We do it on Monday night, and Jeff has one on Saturdays at 7 p.m. So we do this Monday. We have New York Times bestselling author Anna, what is it? Anna David. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she's good. I mean, it should be amazing.
So, and it works out though because you were writing that book while you were basically starting that page then, right?
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. It wasn't. I don't even think it was finished yet. At December 8th, 2018. Yeah, it wasn't even the book wasn't even done yet. So yeah, it's pretty much hand in hand.
Yeah,
So I
and you
got
were plus
I'm
you're
still growing, which makes it good because I mean I was still pretty much in that newcomer mindset. So I'm
yeah.
dealing with life and I'm writing about it, and to me writing's been very therapeutic. I mean it's really helped me figure out who I am.
So you never wrote before until you got
No,
sober then.
no, I remember I didn't start writing until I was sitting in county jail for those four burglary charges. I was like, I've bounced in and out of jail and prison over the last, I probably spent about 10 out of the last 20 years in jail behind bars. So, and I had this routine where I'd get in there and I just get on there, play spades, work out, gamble, do normal stuff. But this last time, it was like God. It was like almost like God that set me down there to test me to see, because I was kind of white knuckling my recovery up until that point. But then when I got to that last bid, I sat down and said, I got to do something different, man, because I'm tired of being in jail. The whole sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I just picked up a pen, got one of them little golf pens they give you. You can buy in the canteen, and I started writing on whatever I could write on, and it just came flooding out of me. And I'm like, man, I felt like that 500-pound weight on my back was gone. I'm like, I'm running around, after I got like 20, 30 pages, giving it to the other people in my cell, my dorm. And they're like, man, that's some good stuff. And I'm like, you know what? That is some good stuff. I can't keep this to myself. So that's when the idea for the book came out.
That's awesome. How long did you end up spending in there?
About 90 days. And on day 90, my drug court actually came through for me. And they were like, since these charges were predated before my drug court had started, before I pleaded in, they were going to roll it in. I mean, which really helped me out. I had to do some extra restitution, and it was like I think I had to add to my plea like 10. I had like 10 years, 7 to 10 years over my head. So that's when I started taking my recovery serious and started hitting the meetings, and
Yeah.
started listening more.
Yeah, so I mean, that you really jam packed that first year with recovery all day long. Then, no matter what you were doing, if you were looking
No
at
matter
your
what I was,
phone,
yeah, you're
if you were
absolutely right.
looking at your phone, you were looking at Facebook
Right,
Recovery
right,
Revolution page. If you're looking at your computer, it's because you were typing your manifesto.
right.
If you were talking to somebody, it's you were at a meeting or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could tell you my typical day.
And your fiance's in recovery also. It
Right.
sounds
She
like.
just celebrated 5 years.
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always my wife and I have the same sober birthday, so
Oh, do you? Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. My typical day in my first year was like get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, grab a quick shower, walk a mile to a bus stop, catch 3 buses to get downtown to my work therapy program. And then after that, I'd have to go to my drug court classes. So, and then catch 3 buses back here. I didn't make it back on most nights till after 9 p.m. So my
Yeah.
days were kind of busy.
Yeah, nice and busy, but also fulfilling though by the time you got back to the end of your day where you didn't, your mind wasn't on like, oh no, I'm awake and how am I going to go to sleep? That kind of a
Yeah.
long day, you're going to be passing right out, get a solid 8 and start
Yeah,
it
I
all
know.
over
I know.
again.
I don't know how. I don't even know if I could do that today. I mean, my days have gotten a lot easier, but man, I feel just as exhausted.
Yeah, but that first year though, like I've seen a lot of people post and talk about like how tired they are, but I had so much energy. I don't know what it is, maybe about depends on what we were doing while we were in addiction. I don't know. But when I got sober, like I was walking like 5-10 miles a day around
Yeah.
LA. Like I lost like 70 pounds. I had more energy than I've had in a long time, like natural
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. You started
So
taking care of yourself better. You started sleeping, started eating right.
yeah, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
actually it's sleep apnea. You mentioned that.
yeah.
I remember I was bad on Xanax, so and I was bad on Oxy too, which makes your heart rate slow down to begin with. So people were thinking like I was dying in my sleep all the time because of like how bad it was.
Right.
So I said to my, when I'm in rehab now, and I said to my roommate, I'm like, my bad in advance, dude, like snoring and all that. And he was like, I don't hear a peep from you. Didn't snore at all, like in rehab. Wasn't snoring at all. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I'm back to snoring now. So I don't know what the hell was up with that. Being in LA had something to do with it. I have no idea. The no humidity.
Yeah.
So, but where did you guys meet then? Because when you meet somebody, that's one thing I'm sure was a suggestion that you went against was dating somebody in the first year, or
Right. Right.
did you already know her?
No, I didn't know her. I didn't know. I actually, well, on a some recovery page, she had posted that she was celebrating her second year, I believe, and in my book, there's at the back end of back end of the book, I have like other people's stories, their recovery stories.
Oh,
So I was
cool.
recruiting her, trying to get her get her to write down her story so I could add it to the book. And it just started off with a simple message, a friend request, and he's back and forth, for a month or two, and then I finally got her phone number, and we started talking on the phone, and we would just talk recovery, but we would talk recovery for like an hour, 2 hours,
Yeah.
so it was like a natural progression. But we really didn't. I don't think we went out on our first date till I was about 11 months sober, 11 and a half
Oh,
months.
that's good then. Yeah,
Yeah,
you were kind of taking it slow then, which is good. You were just like kind of friends at first, like
yeah,
recovery
first three,
buddies.
four
Yeah,
months. Yeah, it took
that's
about
good
four
then.
months to get her to go out for coffee.
It's good.
Yeah, I
She
know.
was
Now look
definitely
at it.
doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I advise people, newcomers, that don't just jump in a relationship. That's like one of your number one relapse
Yeah,
triggers.
when I met my wife, I was 11 months into my recovery, and and I told her like we can't get serious or anything. I want to finish this whole year out. And then I went to LA to celebrate my 1 year because that's where I got sober. So when I came back though, I proposed. So we went from like just like talking to being engaged. We just
Wow.
totally, skipped that. And then I ended up drinking again, not with her, but over something else. And she was an alcoholic before we met, and then slowed down when we met because of my program. And then we both quit. Actually, you do a thing on you write for the magazine, right?
Right. A recovery
Okay,
gym magazine.
and you do birthdays. Yeah, my wife and I have a really obscure birthday that is only going to be ever in your magazine once every 4 years.
Really?
Leap day.
Leap day? No way.
Yep.
What's your what day is leap day? Like
Two 29/20.
20 and 20? Okay.
Yeah. So and actually it's really funny. I had a guy on TikTok message me the other day because it has my sober date, in my bio or whatever. And he was like, "Hey man, you're never gonna believe this, but my sober date is 2/29/12, and I've never met anybody in 9
Oh
years
wow,
with
dude.
this sober date besides you and your wife."
That's the beauty about recovering out loud is you get all these people that normally
Yeah.
wouldn't say a word, and they see you that you're in recovery, and you're blossoming, your life's going on, and they're like, wow, I want to be like you, I want to, I want to, meet my soulmate,
It's taking ownership of it, too. It's whenever we recover out loud, it's taking ownership of it. It's holding ourselves accountable for
Right.
whatever we did, and it's making it okay. It's making it okay not to be okay. It's okay that's part of our past. It's showing people that, hey, it's okay that we did what we did in addiction. We can still lead good lives and be good people. Like it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you got to set the example. I mean, that's one of the biggest fears about coming into recovery. People don't know how they're going to live without the drug. I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, my whole life was centered around my addiction. Now, what am I going to do when I sober up? I mean, but recovery is like every aspect of your life. I mean, this is one of my secrets to my early recovery was I had to take myself out of my own mindset. I remember when I was doing the work therapy program, I would get to the hospital and I would force myself to say good morning to as many people as I could. And you fast forward that 4 years later, I'm still doing,
Yeah.
but now I know most of the people in the hospital.
hmm Now, how do you get through? This is going to be like your fifth holidays, in sobriety. How do you feel like you get through the holidays, ever being around people that are still in use or active use, relapsing around you, overdosing, drinking still? Like, how is it for you to get through the holidays?
Um, I've been doing. I guess I'm blessed. I haven't really had an urge to use or even a drug dream anymore. I feel I'm comfortable around people. I mean, it doesn't make me uncomfortable for like when my family gets together for Christmas. It's usually at a restaurant or something, and my sister she drinks, and we got some other people in the family that are a little bit out there, and I could see it, and I try to talk to them about it, but you know how that is. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
not ready, you're just not ready. I'm like, well, you
Yeah.
gotta get ready soon because you got a court date coming up and you got some big boy charges.
Yeah, that'll happen. I think it does get easier too, like that obsession, especially if you do the work.
Right.
That obsession does get lifted, and you still regularly go to meetings too.
Um, Not really. I haven't really. I know I've went to about maybe two in the last 2 months. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
that's something I need to get back into.
Yeah. What do you do for you? Well, I mean, what do you do for support instead of like physical meetings? Like, is it still with like the virtual? Do you do a lot with there?
I still do a lot on social media. I mean, I got the podcast, our Monday night podcast, which I'm I'm on that one, and I attend Jeff's Saturday podcast, and I do a lot. You know, just I still post a lot on the page too.
Yeah, because I feel like that to me sometimes like this is a meeting for me.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Talking
Where
recovery.
like yeah, exactly. Because there's our place is still new. There's still some times where no one comes to a meeting, and I get my meeting for the day by sitting down and talking to somebody about recovery for a half hour. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I appreciate taking the time to sit down. All your links are in the description of the
Okay.
episode.
Thank
So
you,
if
man.
anyone's listening or watching, they want to check out your Facebook page. Would you have a YouTube channel also?
I do, but I don't really post there much. I just whenever I do a video, I'll upload it to YouTube.
Okay, and then your books on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. It's available locally at a few books. Well, I guess you're not local, so
No,
well,
we're
yeah,
not local.
yeah. I mean, you could Google it and it'll show up everywhere.
Addiction Manifesto. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, Jar. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
JD.
All right. Have a good day, buddy.
You too, man.
All right. See you.